Barguments is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
What's up, everybody?
Dan!
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Barguments, the podcast where bold takes, friendly debates, and absolute nonsense all come to play. I'm Dan Levy. With me is my co-host, Joe Filippo, and today we've got a good one for you. Three-time All-Star, Silver Slugger, and one of the best second basemen of his era, for me of all time, host of the Bret Boone podcast, the one and only Bret Boone. Booner, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Guys, Danny, thank you. It's a pleasure to come on Barguments. I'm ready, locked and loaded.
The pleasure's all on this side of the StreamYard, buddy. All right, so it's baseball season, and of course, if I got you, we got to talk about it. It's young. What are your overall thoughts so far of the 2025 season of baseball?
2025. Let's see. A few surprises for me. I had the Cubs to win that Central Division, but they're looking like they're better than I thought they were. Everybody, including myself, had the Dodgers. I think it's the most talented roster ever put together on paper going into the season. And I still think they're the best team. No surprise there. I knew the Padres were still going to be really good. But the big surprise for me over there in the West, National League West, is the San Francisco Giants playing as well as they have. I think the American League West is going to be a shootout all year. Yankees are leading right now. I think they're doing a great job with the losses of Cole and Heel to start the season. Big shock to me early was the Braves losing 7 in a row out of the chute. But I'll tell you, if you watch the Braves now, they're slowly getting healthy. They're coming. I still think they're the class of that division, even though right now the Mets, who are another surprise to me. I knew the Mets were going to be better. I didn't think they could pitch enough. I didn't think they addressed the pitching enough in the offseason. But much to my chagrin, I like pretending like I'm smart using words like chagrin, Danny. I'll tell you what, with Montas and Minaya not throwing a pitch in 2025, the Mets have the best pitching staff in baseball statistically from an earned run average standpoint. That's a huge surprise to me. So a lot of it, what I expected, but there are definitely some surprises. The Detroit Tigers, much better. You know, they snuck into the playoffs a year ago, but I'll tell you what, they're for real. That pitching staff led by Skubal, but they got some talent there. Javi Baez.
Yes.
That's a name.
From the dead.
That's a name.
And it's. I never thought I'd see him ever be a difference maker player. It's impressive the way he's come back, all the ups and downs he's been through. He's playing center field now, obviously a big time athlete. But a lot of good things going on in big league baseball. And I don't know that it surprises me. I know how great he is, but this is my number one, and I'm going to do a little segment on it here shortly. Aaron Judge is unbelievable.
Yeah. He is in the next phase. Next phase.
I've never. It's tough to impress me from a baseball standpoint with a player or accolades or what they're doing. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani. I didn't think I'd ever see that in my lifetime.
No,
but I did. Aaron Judge is doing things that I never thought would be done in my lifetime. He's the closest thing I can see to Barry Bonds. And I didn't think anyone would ever touch Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, by far, the best player, especially on the offensive side, I've ever seen in my lifetime. And number 2 wasn't even close. It was Barry, and then it was everybody else. Judge is creeping as close as I possibly could imagine, especially doing it as a right-handed hitter. Left-handed hitter, you always got a slight advantage because the majority of pitchers are right-handed. But for a right-handed hitter to do what Aaron Judge is doing right now, it's unbelievable. It's like he sees pitches better than the rest of us. He has an uncanny ability to slow the game down. And I'm in awe watching him on a daily basis. It's like, and throw the numbers away. I mean, he's hitting 4-something, which is absurd, the 1st of May. He's got 10 homers. He's not even getting loose yet. He's got 30-some RBIs. His OPS is off the charts. The numbers, that's great. I'm just saying what I see with my eyes when I sit on the couch and watch him hit. It's a pleasure to watch because he sees the ball earlier than every other big league. And there's some great big league hitters out there. Mookie Betts, Juan Soto, what he did last year and in the postseason. Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, the kid in Kansas City, shortstop. there's a lot of great talent out there. But Aaron Judge has separated himself from everybody else, in my opinion.
Is
that enough surprises?
Those I'll take it, Joe.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when are they going to give him the Barry Bonds treatment and just start walking him all day long? Because he's just hitting missiles everywhere. It doesn't matter.
Right. And that's a great point. And I think, and I told my brother this a few years ago, I watched Aaron Judge, and I said, if he continues on this path, and this is after he hit 60 homers, I said, Aaron Judge is the only man on earth walking around that is capable of hitting 350 and 70 homers.
Holy cow.
And I remember Aaron said, because Aaron gets to watch, he's got an up front, he's got a front row seat every night. He said, I don't question the 70 homers. He said 350 is a stretch. I said, I'm not saying he's going to hit 350. The fact of right-handed hitter hitting 350 with 70 is, we've never seen it before. But if anybody can do it, he can do it. And right now he's hitting 427. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to dip down to 348. And I think the only thing that can keep him from that 70 mark is, like you said, Joe, it's will they pitch? Will it get to the point when they pitch to him? Barry Bonds, what people didn't realize is it didn't matter who you put behind him. I could put, pick a player from my era, pick a Ken Griffey Jr., pick a Manny Ramirez, pick anyone you want, a Big Papi. If the game's on the line and Big Papi's hitting behind Bonds, guess what the visiting manager's saying? Put him on. Yep. It doesn't matter. So I think Aaron Judge is separating himself right now, where if he's locked in and swinging the bat good, it doesn't matter who you hit behind him. You got to go like this from the visiting dugout.
So let me ask you this one. Now that we're in 2025, who would you say is the face of this league, and is the Major League Baseball doing a good job of marketing these guys? Because I think Aaron Judge should be everywhere on television right now. I think he should be on cereal boxes. I think he should be social media. I think he should be more famous than 90% of the NBA or NFL. And I feel like that is a name that you're just not hearing enough. What does the league have to do for that?
I agree. I think the other major sports leagues do a better job marketing their players. And baseball's got to get on that page. The Shohei Ohtani phenomenon in LA is unbelievable. I mean, and Shohei whatever he gets publicity wise deserves every bit of it. Yeah. Once he starts pitching again, nobody's even comparable. So right now, who are you taking if you got one player? Well, I'm taking Aaron Judge. But if Shohei's pitching and feeling good, he's a frontline starter. So you're getting two players for one. You got a guy that's capable of hitting 50 homers and being an MVP, and also capable of winning a Cy Young. So it's really not fair to everybody else because we've never seen him go in two ways. Those are the guys that need to be everywhere. Shohei, I think the young players, Paul Skeens, he's kind of the face of baseball.
He is.
And L.A. De La Cruz, unbelievable talent. Sky's the limit for him. He just quite hasn't got to that superstar level from a numbers standpoint. But if he ever gets there, he's a guy that they're going to go to. There's a lot of guys out there that are really good players. Fernando Tatis, he had the slip up and, he tainted his career a little bit when he got suspended. But he's one of those guys that could be the face of baseball. He's very charismatic. But I think you're right. Getting back to Judge, not only what Judge does on and off the field, but how he carries himself. He's charismatic at the same time. He's as professional as they come. I think Derek Jeter, if you were to teach a class on PR 101, I think Derek Jeter is the professor. And I think Aaron Judge is in the front row listening to what Derek Jeter had to say, because you can't do it better than Aaron is with the level of star he is, the way he carries himself and the way he answers questions. He epitomizes what I always said, there's no captains of baseball. That's for hockey and soccer. He epitomizes what it means to be a captain of a team. So all around, Aaron Judge is that he's the class president. He's the valedictorian. He's the quarterback. He's the prom king. That's Aaron Judge. He's the perfect guy. If you could build an AI For what's the perfect ball player, I think Aaron Judge fits the bill.
Yeah, 6'7", that size. He looks like a cartoon character. He is unbelievable. He's also the closest, I would say, because I remember when I was watching baseball in my college years and when you were playing during those days, I remember he had like that similar as to what Sammy Sosa had. You can go to the ballpark, you can hang out with your friends, and the minute Judge or Sosa gets up the bat, everybody stops. And they watch that. And when he hits a home run, they go nuts. And if he strikes out, you go back to, all right, what are we doing for the fourth inning? What are we drinking? What are we eating? But when that guy gets up, he's box office. You got to stop and you got to watch him.
Yeah, I think right now on the pitching side, Paul Skeens is that way. It's like Paul Skeens is pitching, and even though he's playing in Pittsburgh, where they're going to have another long season and probably finish in last place, when Paul Skeens pitches, the presses stop, and everybody stops and turns on what they're watching to see what he's going to do. There's only certain players that can capture that element in our society. You know, Michael Jordan was the original, the Tiger Woods. And I'm not saying that Judge or Skeens are on the Jordan or Woods platform just yet. I mean, that's a pretty high bar. But they're as close as it gets that we've got right now in the game of baseball. And, yeah, it's must-watch TV. I remember Bo Jackson was like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's a good one.
Bo wasn't a star like these guys. I mean, he didn't have the ridiculous numbers that these guys I've mentioned have put up. But I'll tell you what, it was when he came to the plate, it was much-watched TV because it's like, what freaky thing might I miss if I don't watch this, you know? And still, you talk about Bo in his heyday and the football, what he was doing on the football side, just running over people. And on the baseball side, yeah, he made an all-star team, but he didn't have those ridiculous numbers. He wasn't hitting 40, 50 home runs, hitting 300. But the thing that stands out to me about Bo the most, if you Google this, watch his first big league hit. It was a routine ground ball to second base, and he beat it out on the turf. And when you really watch it, and then you watch it again, it's almost inhuman how fast this man was running past first base. So Google that. That's what I'm talking about. Can't miss TV, because when you watch it and watch it and watch it again, you say, I kind of never seen that before. And that's what Bo did. He's one of those guys where you had to tune in because it was Bo, and who knows what he's going to do, whether he's running up a wall or making a throw or something inhuman.
Or steamrolling a couple of linebackers. Bo is interesting because he's one of the few players that nobody ever talks about the what-if game. Usually athletes, when they don't meet their full potential and we don't see their whole career, Derrick Rose in Chicago, there's so many others that we could do the what-if game. But I think if Bo Jackson had not gotten hurt on that football play, what could have been of that guy? Because like you said, the amount of talent he had for not just one sport and just probably the greatest athlete of all time. He could have done anything he wanted to do, and it ended shortly. What could have been with Bo Jackson?
Well, I think that's a lot has to do with Bo Jackson, the person. You know, he didn't clamor for that. And he didn't go on interviews and talk about himself and you know, he did the commercials.
I'll say the Bo Nose was everywhere.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was a script and there was a big check at the end of that. So but I'm just talking about on a personal level. Bo didn't crave that attention. You know, Bo wasn't rocking the look at me type stuff that we see in the modern day athlete. So I think that's why it's the what if. You know, if you interview Bo, and I had him on my podcast probably 8-10 months ago, he wants to talk about hunting. You know, he doesn't want to talk about it. Yeah, he's a bow hunter. You know, you get the stories out of him, but he's not. Hey, I'm Bo Nose. You know, he's just kind of living his life and but the guys that were there for us that watched it and saw it and were around adults during that time watching him perform, we know what could have been if that strange injury didn't happen to him on the field.
Do you have any personal stories of Bo when he was playing?
Oh, I have an unbelievable story. I was in he got injured. He played with my dad in the late 90s in Kansas City. Him and Dad were teammates, so I had met him. He was actually really close to my youngest brother, Matthew. And so I had met him in passing. I was in college, and, I'd visit Dad, and Bo was his teammate at the time. So I sign, and I get to pro ball, and I'm in Double-A. And Bo had already had the injury, and he was rehabbing. They sent him down to Birmingham, Alabama. At the time was the Chicago White Sox affiliate, I believe. Yeah, I think he was a White Sox.
The Barons? So the Birmingham Barons, right?
Right. So he was rehabbing in Double-A. And Bo gets to first base, and he looks over at me. I'm playing second. And he kind of acknowledges me. Hey, Booney, how you doing? You know, he knows that that's Bob Boone's son at the time. And he looks at me and kind of with a wink and a smile and says, hey, be careful trying to turn this double play. I'm going to come in pretty hard, you know, kind of wink, wink, smile. Yeah, whatever, Bo. And he gets picked off first base. Left-handed first move. And he freezes. He's about 8-9 feet off the bag. He doesn't even try to get back to the bag. He just stands there. Now, normally it's a shortstop cover unless I can get there first. So I'm the second baseman. I get to the bag because Bo's just kind of messing around. It's like he's just messing with people. He takes off on a full sprint. I'm standing at the bag. First baseman throws me the ball. And Bo at the time is probably 30 steps from me. I've got the ball at second base, just sitting there waiting for him. Now, I figure we're going to get into a pickle. We're going to get into a rundown. So I'm ready to go back and start running him back to first. He doesn't stop. He just keeps running at me. And I'm like, you know, he gets to 20 feet away, and I'm going, what is he doing? He's just going to give me the out. He gets 10 feet away. And he's running like he's got a football, and he's going to score a touchdown. I mean, he's not.
He's full steam.
He's going 100%. He's 5 feet away from me. I got the ball. And, I mean, he's in low-fly mode. He's going full steam at 5 feet. Now, everything's flashing through my mind, and I'm going, well, does he know he can't run the second baseman over? That's not, you know, at the time you could run the catcher over in baseball. That was fair game. But I've never heard of somebody running over the second baseman, with the exception of Albert Bell and that.
Yes.
I don't know what he's doing. So I'm starting to get a little nervous. And this is obviously everything's going in a, flash. But all these thoughts are going through my mind. He gets 2 steps away, and he's still going full steam. I have the tag down by the bag, and I just flinch like this Mack truck's going to hit me. I got to prepare for collision here. I kind of pull back. He stops on a dime and puts his foot on the bag. And I kind of hesitate and tag him. Well, the umpire at the time, there was no replay. You didn't have to put the tag on the player back then. Umpire calls him out. He's out by 30 feet, of course. The ball beat him. The tag was down. He's out. But he was safe. Because I flinched. And everybody knew it. And Bo looks at me. He doesn't even argue. He looks at me, winks, and goes, Boone, you know I was safe, right? And I kind of looked at him like he was a Terminator. I'm like, I don't know what just happened to me. And he ran off the field smiling. And the umpire, he didn't know what to do. But yes, I go to the dugout. My teammates are like, "Did you tag him?" I said, "No, he was absolutely safe. He was out by 30 feet, but he ended up being safe." So that's my Bo Jackson story. He's remarkable, man. I've never seen, I've never played in the NFL, but I've never seen a Mack truck coming. I've never been scared on a baseball field. Put it that way.
Jeez.
Ever in my life have I been scared, physically scared. Now, I've been scared because my swing stinks, and I don't want to face this slider and chase it and embarrass myself. But I've never been physically scared on a baseball field, ever.
That did you in?
And I was scared.
Now, you also played with Deion Sanders, primetime.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about some times with him, and also, we got to get to exactly what happened in this football drive with his son, but talk about what it's like, because you played with a guy who is that dynamic and that much of an athlete, too. And definitely one of the greatest football players of all time. Definitely not, I wouldn't put him in baseball, but the freakish athlete that he was, we were able to see the full potential. So talk about what it's like to actually play with somebody of that caliber.
Well, he was definitely prime time in the clubhouse. So I got to see that. We got to see that up close and personal.
Were you there? Were you there with the Tim Carver where we put the cooler on him?
Okay, he was in Atlanta.
That's right. Okay, I thought I couldn't remember.
Deion and myself were teammates. I think a couple years in Cincinnati. It was definitely Cincinnati. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 years or parts of 1 year. He was actually my locker mate, so I got to see prime time up close. It was entertaining, actually. Fastest man I've ever seen on an athletic field, Deion Sanders. Once he got up and moving, so if he hit one in the gap and he got to around first base and he put the flaps down and went into sprint mode, it's the fastest man I've ever seen on a field. That's A. B, decent baseball player. Not the greatest, but when you're one of the greatest football players in the world and you're just playing Major League Baseball as a hobby, I don't know too many people that can do that. So props to him for that. Very respectable and was a solid baseball player. And obviously one of the greatest, like you said, Dan, one of the greatest football players, definitely cornerbacks of all time, defensive backs, whatever we're going to put him in that category. And an unbelievable marketer too. And he's still doing it. This draft, you mentioned the draft.
Yes, it's fun.
Funny to me. Because I'm not a football draft guy. I don't watch. Don't care. Don't watch. It's not my genre. No, I'm a guy. I watch a game, especially if we got a couple bucks on it. I watch the Super Bowl like every other red-blooded American. But I'm not an NFL draft, paint my face, act like a lunatic, run around. Oh, yeah, my team got this guy. Because I don't really have a team. I follow the Eagles, I follow the Seahawks a little bit, but I really don't care. When I was a kid, I followed the Niners. I was a Niner fan. But I really don't care who the draft picks are. I don't know who they are. But this was an intriguing story for me, the Shedeur Sanders thing, just because of all the hype and everything going on at Colorado. He's player of the year this year. Where was he going to be picked? So I thought it was human interest story. I thought, I'm going to tune in and see where he's picked. They were talking about pick whatever, and then pick 21 was a possibility, or pick 20. Then it gets to the second day, and everybody's kind of, I'm watching TV, and I'm watching the analysts that do this for a living, and I'm going, wow, they're kind of I don't know. I'm not an evaluator. I don't know what talent is. I go watch a baseball draft and tell you if I put my eyes on them. But I don't know anything about the football and the nuances. So I'm just a spectator. I'm just a fan. Like, when's he get day 3? I'm still watching. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is a conspiracy. They're trying to get the guys that would never watch the draft to watch it, not only for the first pick, which, the football fans are always watching day 1, but by day 3, I would assume the crowd dwindles.
Oh, no.
But you had guys like me watching on day 3. The ratings must have been through the roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I say guys like me, I mean the casual football fan that would normally never tune in to day 3 of the draft. I'm still watching. What did I come away with? I came away with that I didn't like the comparisons, and I didn't like Twitter. Oh, Eli Manning did it, and it's different than – no. You can't compare yourself to anybody.
No.
A year ago, who was the number 1 pick out of USC, the quarterback?
Caleb Williams.
He skipped the combine. You have to be very self-aware when you're an athlete, or on how you're perceived, what your level of talent is. Caleb Williams skipped the combine, and guess what? He still went 1-1. Eli Manning said what he said before he went out there, and he was still a first-round pick. You've got to know who you are and be very self-aware. Just because Eli Manning did it, maybe the NFL doesn't see you as an Eli Manning type talent. Maybe some teams do, maybe some teams don't. So I think there were some miscalculations done in his camp. That being said, I also got sucked into watching Shiloh Sanders on his Twitch, and I really ended up liking Shiloh. I'm like, this guy, I don't know if he's going to make it in the NFL, but he's funny for me to watch, and I thought he was a great big brother. I actually really liked Shiloh and his personality that I got to see that normally I would never get to see. Shedeur, I liked him. I thought he's a good kid. People need to realize we were all 21, 22, 23 one day. If you were going to evaluate my life and my decisions on when I was a 22-year-old rookie in the big leagues, and how I thought, things I said, and the things I said and thought and things I did, they weren't captured on Twitter and social media like today. So you're living in a bubble, but you still, and I have a lot of grace for athletes, especially young athletes. I cover and analyze Major League Baseball all the time, And when a 22, 23, 24-year-old kid says something stupid or makes a bad choice, I'm not the first to just, oh, how dare you? You're a jerk. You're a child. You're a kid. We were all kids. So I have a lot of grace for young people in general because they don't know what's about to hit them. Maybe life hasn't humbled you yet, but you will get humbled. Believe me, I was far from humble when I was 22 years old. You go through my career in the big leagues, I've been humbled. And in life to now, I've been very humbled many times. And a lot of us need that. But I'm not quick to judge people. I always want to give them a chance, especially when they're young, because I'll guarantee you, all of us will look back when we're 22, and then when we're 32, we'll look at that 22-year-old, go shake our heads and say, man, that guy had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And I think one day Shador will look back and go, you know what, maybe I should have handled that all differently. Maybe I could have handled it all differently. Things would have gone a little bit different. It cost him some money in the short term.
$40 million is what that took.
But here's the deal, and I know it's apples to oranges, baseball draft and NFL draft and the money. But I remember coming out of college, and I was projected to go like 26th in the country. And I went to the 5th round. I was the first pick in the 5th round. And, this wasn't all on TV and social media. But I remember talking to my dad like, are you kidding me, Dad? I got in the 5th round. You tell them not to come in here and offer me 5th round money. I'm way better. I should have been a 1st round pick. And my dad was looking at this 20-year-old kid going, well, you want me to call Major League Baseball and have them redo the draft and see if it comes out? Mocking me. And I'm going, Dad, come on, you're on my side. That's me being a kid and not knowing. And my dad said to me, here's the first lesson in life, Brett. Life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. He said, so what are you going to do about it? And he said, if I were you, I'd get the best signing bonus I could, and I'd get my butt to wherever they assign me to go. So next year, you can start your first full season in Double-A, and you can get to the big leagues a year earlier. I wouldn't sit here and hold out and waste your summer. He said, I'd get out, get the best money I can get right now. It's not going to matter in the long run. He said, if you stink and you're not good enough, you're going to have to get a job anyway. So, but if you're good enough and you get out and you play right now, you're going to be the big leagues where the real money is quicker. And I took that advice. Best thing I ever did. I got the big leagues in a year and a half, and he was right. But at the time, you couldn't tell me, hey, I was wrong. I was the 5th round. I should have been a 1st round pick. And when it's all said and done, it really doesn't matter. Well, the money now in the NFL, yeah, short term, it does matter. That's a lot of money. But the kids nowadays are coming from NIL money, so they know what money is before they get money.
And he knows what money is before NIL. Just living that lifestyle.
Correct. But the bottom line is it's done and over. I thought his post, he wasn't bitching and moaning once he got picked in the 5th round. I didn't see him. I saw him with a smile on his face, still flashing the jewelry and all that stuff, which that's not what I would do. But I didn't see him as an angry, bitter person. He was just kind of smiling like, yeah, what am I going to do? I'm a Cleveland Brown. So I would say at this point, it's like, all right, what's done is done. It's over. You're not going to redo it. Yes, maybe you'll look back one day and said I would have handled it differently. But the bottom line is go show them now. I remember putting a big old chip on my back. Say, I'm going to prove to these guys they made a bad decision taking me in the 5th round. And I kind of carried that with me. It wasn't something publicly I shared with a lot of people, but I kept it right here. And I think at the end, it probably helped me a little bit. So it's all about what you do now. Everybody can speculate he's that good, he's not that good, he got screwed, people were put off by this and that, whatever. It's over with. Now it's time to go play. Go play with the big boys and prove that you can play at the NFL level and thrive at the NFL level. So that's my long, short version of what I thought about the draft.
Before we get into the Barguments, which is what everybody comes here for, let me ask you one quick question. You played during a time where technology, nutrition, weight training was just kind of getting there.
Right.
All these baseball players, every athlete right now has unlimited access to just about everything in the world, supplements and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Who would Bret Boone be if he had all that access when you played? And how do you think you would play if you were in the league right now? Well, not your age, but I mean, coming into it right now.
Oh, it's simple to go back. What if? My career, I sum it up in 2 careers, the first half and the second half. First half, I was a kid on fire, had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove that I belonged, had some good years, had some tough years. Second half of my career, I started to take it. I kind of had an epiphany one day, and I said, I'm just sick of kind of going out there blind with the ability that I was given, God given. I want to take it to another level. I want to get in the best shape I can. I want to eat perfect. I want to train. I did that. I got to Seattle. I got with Edgar Martinez, one of the best right-handed hitters that I'd been watching for about 10 years. When I first got to the big leagues, Edgar was on my team. I didn't take that opportunity to pick his brain, really picked his brain. And the second half of my career, I really came up with a plan and a strategy, an off-season plan, an off-season strategy. And then I came up with a game plan, and not at 162, but at bat to at bat. I had a plan that would played out every single day, before every at bat. And I put that into action. And I became a completely different player because I had an approach. Whereas in past years, I was just out there chicken with my head cut off, swinging hard and hoping for the best. And all of a sudden, I kind of had a moment where, no, I'm going to prepare my body as good as I can. And I'm going to prepare. My approach is going to be as good as it can be for me to give me the best opportunity to be successful over 162 games. So if I would have had that mindset in today's society as a young kid, I probably would have had a better half. The first half of my career would have probably been more illustrious. That being said, you can't go back there. I'm envious. A lot of things in today's game I'm not envious of. I don't like the game as much as I did when I was playing or when my father was playing or when my grandfather was playing. I still love baseball. It's been my whole life. And I'm not one of those guys, it's better when I played. No, it's different when I played. And it took me a few years of this modern day game for me to really get through on this side of the microphone when I'm going to do this and analyze for a living. It was like, hey, I've got to let go of when I played, we did it this way, and this is the right way. It's like, this is not my game anymore. I'm not an active player. I'm an ex-player. This is their game, not my game. I remember when ex-players would come into the clubhouse and act appropriately, ton of respect for them. But the guys that came in and act like it was their game still, that left a bad taste in my mouth. So I never wanted to be that guy. So I respect the hell out of the players today. It's different, but it's not my game. It's their game. History will judge each and one of our generations of play. So who am I to do that? I'm envious of the players today, what they have at their disposal, the data, the video at your fingertips at all times. I would be in hog heaven that I could roll into a city, have a 4-game set. I've got a tablet or my computer has every at-bat I've had against all 4 starting pitchers. I've got all their bullpen, not only my at-bats against the guys in the bullpen, but this bullpen the last week, every outing they've come in. I can watch players on other teams that I consider to be like myself. How did they pitch them? That's how I'm going to be pitched. So part of me is very envious of today's player. And like you said, it's starting at the minor leagues. I mean, I remember, my son was in the minor leagues as of a year ago, and I hear these minor leaguers complaining about, oh, we're not getting paid enough and this and that. And I'd look at my son and go, what the hell do you add to the bottom line? You know what they're paying you? You have an opportunity. That's all we can all ask. I remember being in AA making $900 a month, and I was on my own to get my own housing. Oof. And I didn't care because we went to the Piccadilly every day. We got a good deal for like $1.99. This is 1991. $1.99, all you can eat for lunch. I was sleeping on a couch half the time, paying a couple $100 in rent, doing my laundry at the ballpark, and I was happy as could be because I knew I'm just going to play good. I'm going to get the hell out of here. I'm going to go to the next level and the next level. And it wasn't about that. But it's a different time. The society now is all about, hey, you get yours. Well, no, you earn yours. And then we'll get you. Believe me, you earn it and you grind it out in the minor leagues. The reward at the top level, if you haven't seen the sports salaries nowadays, they're pretty good. So the minor leagues, they have everything at their disposal in the minor leagues. I mean, the minor league complexes are as nice as the big league complexes when I got to the big leagues. Now the minor leagues are like that. They got 2 lockers. They got 6 masseuses and state of the art. They got cold pools and jacuzzis. We had like one tub that had an engine that you had to start. It would twirl the bubbles, and we were happy. But no, I'm not jealous of it. I'm envious of it because it's like, wow, what these guys have today is really cool, and you hope they take advantage of it and appreciate what they have. And most guys do. They really do. So that's my take. What kind of player? I think if I could go back, I think the first half of my career, you would have seen a difference if I took it from more of a scientific and more of a thinking man's hitter versus a just give me a bat. That's what I always was. Give me a bat. Let's go. And when I really started to break it down and take each at bat the same and not, control my emotions and be level headed instead of, don't get high, don't get too low. Anybody can do handstands, backflips, and crank the music high when you just got 4 hits and you just won 6 of 7. I want to see how you behave when you went 0 for 4. You punched out twice. You made an error to lose the game, and your team stinks. I don't want to see you sucking your thumb in the corner. So there's a, I always said that. I'd always give it this line, and I go, this is how we behave. That's where the professionals behave. Yeah, if you're doing great, I'm not saying don't have fun, turn the music up. But I don't want you seeing the doldrums when things aren't going good. There's got to be some semblance there in the middle.
Barguments. 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 Barguments.
Dan, we really went over your 25 minutes.
We may have gone a little over the 25 minutes, but we got to get a couple arguments in there.
I'm long-winded today. Joe's right. Booney talks forever.
Booner,
not at all.
I love you coming on, and I love you being with us, and I'm just glad that we get to have you on.
I'm giving you your money's worth.
You're giving me my money's worth, and it is much appreciated as we go to the best portion of this podcast, the Barguments. It is here where we ask you very silly questions. There are no real answers, and if we get a good argument out of it, we just might go viral. All right,
best part of the podcast that remains to be seen. I'll let you know.
I was going to say that might be the next podcast, but we'll go from there. All right, so here's what I'm going to throw at you: 7th game of the World Series, bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs. Who do you want to see in the pitcher's mound, and who do you want to see in the batter's box?
Okay, 7th game of the World Series.
Yep, it all comes down to the last out.
So is this for my viewing pleasure, or do I have a dog in the fight?
No, viewing pleasure. If you're going to go, who do I want to see go in there?
I got to go. I'd love to see. I want to see obvious. I want to see a Randy Johnson, Barry Bonds matchup.
That would be awesome.
Tony Gwynn. Do we need a knock? Just so we need a base hit? Tony Gwynn would be a fun one, too. The Randy Johnson, Tony Gwynn one. Or if we can live in a different world, how about Shohei pitching versus Shohei hitting?
That would be awesome.
Now we're talking.
How about Bo versus Deion?
If one of those is pitching, I'm watching that one, too. I think I really still want to see Roger Clemens against an Aaron Judge. I want to see what a Roger Clemens could do with this day and age, and a guy that goes, or even a Kirby Puckett as that hitter. I would go either one, but I still want to see Roger Clemens at the mound. That guy, every time I saw him play, I was like, this is going to be a really good game.
I'll take a Maddox, Manny Ramirez.
I was gonna say Maddox and Bonds.
I'll take a Maddox Bonds. The only thing about it is when Barry was in his heyday, as great as Maddox is, and I think Maddox is the greatest pitcher I've ever seen.
Oof.
Soup to nuts, full career, not the nastiest, but the best, the most technical, the most efficient. I've never seen anyone better than Barry Bonds. Stuff-wise, Randy's about as good as it gets. So my only challenge would be, I think it would be more of a challenge, not only because it's Randy, but it's because it's lefty on lefty, so it's going to be a little harder for Barry. And I think Barry has a slight – well, you never have an edge as a hitter. Never. You got the bat. The best in the world get on base. It's the most overrated term, but 30% of the time in your Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So you never have an advantage, but I think even more of a disadvantage would be Randy because it's left on left.
What about Nolan Ryan? How scary was Nolan? How scary was Nolan?
But to make it fair though, you can't put Barry or Tony Gwynn up there because they're left-handed. So I got to make it tougher. So name some of the great right-handed hitters. So yeah, nowadays, let's put Aaron Judge against Nolan.
Yes.
Now that's cool. That's for the ages. That's one for the ages because that's a guy that played in the 60s versus a guy that's playing in 2025. And Nolan with his velocity and his skill set was a little ahead of his time. So it'd be cool to see Nolan, Aaron. I think the Nolan, Judge, Randy, Bonds are two of my favorite that I've heard so far.
I would also like to see how Pete Rose would do in every different generation of baseball. Because when you've seen that guy break down how he hit, if he was in a slump, he would just go in different sides of the boxes. He had all kinds of different kinds of ways of trying to get himself back into that batter's box. And he's the greatest, probably one of the greatest hitters of all time.
Yeah, but Dan, also, you know who I'd want to see?
Who?
I want to see somebody that we never hear about. I want to see Babe Ruth hit
Yes.
live. Because Babe
Yes.
Ruth, he's like a cartoon character, right? Yeah, he didn't really exist. He's like
Mythical.
Daniel Boone.
Mythical.
He's like Daniel Boone. I've heard of that guy. He's a myth, So I want to see like a Honus Wagner hit. I want to see Honus Wagner.
Ty Cobb.
Yeah, I want to see Ty Cobb out there. I don't want to see these guys I've already seen.
Give me one inning of Shoeless Joe Jackson. I've only heard.
Exactly. I want to see that. I want to see that, things that I've never seen before. And really, you see that grainy old video of Babe taking hacks, but I want to see him in a game situation. I want to be in the crowd.
Give me Ray Kinsella, Field of Dreams all day with those guys. I'll watch the pastime. And speaking of Field of Dreams, the next argument to you would be the Mount Rushmore of the greatest sports movies ever made. What are the four sports movies that you think are the greatest movies that have ever been made?
All right, caveat, I hate baseball movies. They're horrible.
There's not one that's like, man, this was me. Bull Durham had to be you.
I pay attention to detail too much to my detriment, and it drives me crazy because they don't. Hollywood producers have no clue what it's really like. All right, that being said, I will go 4 because it's the most realistic depiction of baseball I've ever seen. Is Bull Durham.
Nice.
Bull Durham, except for one thing that bugged me. It's pretty much how it is in the minor leagues. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You're looking for a free meal. You're living on couches. You've got the guys. I remember the guys in the bullpen taking the spell off their bats because they're in a slump. I played, the Durham Bull. That was real. I played in that stadium.
Awesome. Did you get the free steak? Did you hit the free steak?
I didn't. But I think the only thing that was wrong about that is, remember when they pulled into, I forget what stadium they were, and they said, hey, we're going to get a rain out tomorrow, and they went and they flooded the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Impossible, because in the minor leagues, you will never get to a city the night before because they'll have to pay for a hotel. You always get up at 4 in the morning and get there the next day. So that's a little footnote for you. So
okay.
Bull Durham's 4. I could put it 3, but it's 4. What's the one with Moneyball?
Billy Bean.
Not because of the baseball. I think some of it was true. Some of it was a little movied up. But I think it was just a quality movie. I was entertained by it, and I was living in that. Plus, my name was on the chalkboard, if you look.
I did notice that. I've noticed that.
So I always like that when they give a shout out. Because that was my time, the early 2000s. We had a really kind of big rivalry. The American League West was the class of baseball, and that Oakland A's team was tremendous, and the Anaheim Angels, who won the World Series in 2002, and my Mariners, that was a great division. So I remember those times vividly. Those were some of the best years of my career, some of them the funnest times and the best teammates I've ever had. So I remember that. So I'm going to put that at 3. Just for the sheer movie enjoyable.
Sure.
Not because it was realistic. Oh, and the other 2 are simple. Because they're harmless, they're fun. Bad News Bears and Breaking Training.
Bad News Bears. That's a throwback. Nice.
But that was like, in today's version, would have been Bad News Bears 2. In Breaking Training is 2. And the all-time greatest is the original Bad News Bears. They're my favorite.
Those are classics. Joey, if you got 4 on your Mount Rushmore, which ones are on yours?
See, I'm not going just straight baseball movies, but Major League for sheer entertainment value, comedy.
Pretty good.
Absolutely has to be on there. Slapshot with the Hanson brothers.
Good. Yeah, I kept it to baseball, but Slapshot's a classic.
I do love Miracle. I'm a big hockey guy. 1980s, so that's a great one. And then I'm wearing my 1980s Caddyshack hat. Wearing the what is this here? The Bushwood Championship hat. So Caddyshack. It's got to be number one.
So Caddyshack qualifies as a sports movie.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. It's a golf movie.
Well, see, I'm a fan of all four you just mentioned.
Sure.
I'm a huge Slapshot fan and a huge Caddyshack fan.
See, the one I could have put on there that I didn't was The Sandlot. Love that movie as a kid.
Why not?
Everybody loves The Sandlot. I don't see it. It didn't.
Oh, come on.
It's just a good old-fashioned kids.
Right.
Good. It's a coming-of-age kids movie is what it is.
I get it. I'm in the minority. I get it. I get it all the time.
I remember watching that. I was in a neighborhood that was being developed, and we legitimately went out to a plot of land and made our own baseball diamond and dug it out with shovels and took the weeds out and made our own baseball field. Kind of like that. We were inspired as kids to do it. And it's still one of my favorites. I could watch it at any time.
We did a garage ball when I was growing up, and all it took was my brother to smash one window across the street, and we never played baseball again. That was the end of my baseball career. One window smash, and we all had to pay for it. That was it. My four, if we're going to go the greatest sports movies of all time, number one on that list is always going to be Rudy. I can watch Rudy anytime.
Oh, man.
Anytime.
One of my favorites.
I also, for number two, give me Happy Gilmore. That is one of my favorite golf movies of all time. It's just an entertaining watch.
Dan, enjoy it. That can't be a Mount Rushmore, but
that's the argument. That's the argument. How could you not put Happy Gilmore up there?
It's too slapsticky. You can't compare Happy Gilmore to Rudy.
But I can.
You can't throw one of the all-time classics, Slapshot, against Happy Gilmore. Different levels of class.
Look, it's sports with a little bit of humor twist and a love story, and Apollo Creed is in there, which actually gets to my next one, would be Rocky IV. My favorite Rocky out of all of them.
I'm not going to argue with the Rockies. I'm a huge fan, huge Sly fan.
And the last one of my favorite sports movies of all time would be The Program.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Denzel?
No, that's Titans. The Program is with... It's what's his name?
College football. Is it James Wood?
What's his name? The guy from The Godfather and the dad from James Caan. James Caan.
Yeah,
Caan.
That's it. Yes.
James Caan and just the entire everything about college football and Latimer all steroided up and the running back who is also going through everything and the quarterback. That is just my favorite one.
Pretty good.
All right.
But the Happy Gilmore Slapshot, that's like the Beatles against Milli Vanilli. Just two different. You can enjoy both.
That, my friend.
But let's not put them in the same vein.
Oh, not only is it the same vein, it's the same rock, buddy. It's the same rock. All right. And because we love you, I'm going to get on to the last one. And this one would be our ChatGPT argument of the day. I ran it through ChatGPT. And Boone, this one I don't think anybody will ever ask you, and I think you're going to enjoy this one. Would you rather fight one Randy Johnson-sized duck or 100 duck-sized Randy Johnsons? It's still my favorite question of all time.
I'm going to go with one Randy-sized duck. Correct? Is that correct? Did I say that right?
One Randy. So as a duck that is 6'10", you would rather take on that duck than a couple of 1.5 foot Randy Johnsons.
Absolutely, because some famous guy once said in some piece of art, you smash their knee, the biggest boys go down. I saw the movie recently. I forget what it was. You smash their knee, and I don't care how big they are. So I'm going to go for the duck's knee and try to take them out. I don't need a bunch of Randy Johnson-sized ducks just pecking at me.
Oh, well, you got to understand. They may be duck-sized, but that hand is still swinging at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's true. But I got a bat. I still got some bat speed.
I can see you golf clubbing those guys away. I would pay to watch you golf club them.
I'm just envisioning the chicken with Peter Griffin from the Family Guy with us. We're fighting through the streets.
So, Joe, would you rather take on the 6'10" duck or a couple of 2 foot Randy Johnson or 100?
I'm going with the 100-foot, or I'm going with the 100 little Randy Johnsons.
Okay, why is that?
Because I'm not quite 6 feet. I'm close. And what was Randy? 6+.
6'10".
Yeah, 6'10", almost 7. Yeah.
Come on, Joe. 6'10" is not 6+. That's 7 minus.
7. I think I'd have a better shot with all the little Randy Johnsons. I can kick them away or something, but one giant Randy Johnson's 6'11" duck.
You ever put your head in a beehive?
No.
How are you going to do it?
I will actually
that one big bee.
Boone, I will agree with you. You can give me that 6'10" duck because all you got to do is feed that guy and he'll leave me alone. You got about 100 little Randy Johnsons walking around with 100-mile-an-hour fists. I want no part of that. Even if I had a baseball bat or a golf club, there's 100 of those guys coming. It's like that Jurassic Park when those little combi dinosaurs start eating the guy. They're like tiny, but with 100 of them kind of come on you, I can't take that.
They don't have any teeth.
I don't like either scenario. And by the way, and I know that's the premise, dumbest question I've ever been asked. Now, I take into consideration, not in the most serious of vein.
Yes.
Well, it's the only time I've ever busted you to laugh, and that, my friend, was worth every moment of that question, by the way.
That's absurd.
I have never gotten Brett to laugh, but I want to thank Bret Boone for jumping on the podcast. Coming on to Barguments, he is Bret Boone. You can listen to his podcast, the Bret Boone Podcast, which is amazing. It is a long-form podcast, all the greatest guests. He also has another one with Rich Herrera. What is that one called again? The
Turning Two with Booney.
Turning to a Booney.
That's on Thursday.
That one is a really good. So if you're subscribing to podcasts and you're listening to this one, Brett has the greatest baseball players, even people that aren't even in baseball, some of the greatest athletes and actors. That is a really good podcast. Boone, thanks for jumping on with us. This is Barguments. I'm Dan Levy. He is Joe Filippo. Don't forget, you can subscribe. This is going to be on YouTube as well. I also, on Monday nights, jump on WGN Radio. We do a food fight with John Landecker. So jump on that. I'll have that link in the notes as well. And every Friday in Indianapolis, I jump on WIBC with the Hammer and Nigel show. We do a Bargument every week there as well, so you can catch up with anything Bargument that goes on from there. So once again, for Joe Filippo, Bret Boone, my name is Dan Levy. This is Barguments. We'll talk to you again soon.